program brought to you by Top Tote Plus. Get the best of the 3 TABs. Bet now with Top Tote Plus at sportsbet.com.au.
What a summer of change it has been for the St Kilda Football Club. The 10th of September last year, after losing the elimination final to Sydney, Ross Lyon spoke to his troops out on the ground. And then less than a week later, he shocked the football world when he was announced as coach of Fremantle. That led to a nationwide search for St Kilda's next coach, and a month later they had their man. Dual Waffle Premiership coach with Subiaco, and spent a couple of years under Mick Malthouse at Collingwood. Scotty Waters took over as coach of the St Kilda Football Club, and wouldn't he be excited about tonight? His first official AFL match in charge of the Saints. Good evening and welcome to Etihad Stadium. It's NAB Cup Round 1 coming to you live and exclusive as always on Fox Footy, and we've got a big lineup coming your way tonight. 3 of the absolute heavyweights of the competition in action in Geelong, St Kilda and also Sydney. They're going to be some ripping matches. First up, we've got St Kilda and Sydney. That's going to be a beauty, and that one will be followed by Game 2, Sydney against the Cats. That's at 7:45. And the final match tonight, a couple of teams that it's only a couple of years ago that they were playing in grand finals, St Kilda and Geelong, or St Kilda, both of them were, but it really does promise to be a fantastic evening.
Scott Waters, his first assignment as coach of the Saints, 109 games for the West Coast, Sydney and Fremantle, assistant coach under Mick Malthouse during their premiership year. Dean Laidley sitting next to him in the box, and there's some new players for the Saints as well. We're looking forward to seeing in action for the first time. Some of their old heads not playing. Del Santo, Montagna, Raf Clark not playing. Jason Graham, Clint Jones, Farron Ray also not involved tonight, and Jason Blake in this game. And for John Longmire, he has a few of his stars out as well. But their season, the Sydney Swans and the Saints season, is underway. Opening bounce.
Rucks nominate, please. Separate. 3
Umpires
metres.
wide up.
Rucks separate. Yep.
Seaby in the ruck against McAvoy. Palm down from Seaby.
High tackle.
High tackle. So Parker get a first touch. Luke Parker, 13 games last year in his debut year, to Smith, who's run off half-back nicely. Shorts it to attacking 50, not 15. Jude Bolton marked that on the paint. Umpire said no, and he wins himself a free. He's not a long launch of the ball, so it's unlikely he'll go for the 9. He gives to Jetta, who goes for the 9. He lets it sail. It's going. Stumped through. Only a behind. So for the Swans not playing tonight, Josh Kennedy, Shane Mumford, LRT, Daniel Hanbury. And in this game, O'Keefe not playing, Everett Bird, Gary Rowan not involved, Jesse White and Ben McGlynn. But most of their other big guns are involved tonight.
I think we can safely say we're not going to miss Lewis Jetta when he gets near the ball, right? With those boots, they are the brightest fluoro yellow and orange I've ever seen.
Let's hope he kicks straight in with them. It's not a good start. Armitage with the fend off on Mapner. Nicely done. Stephen outside of the foot and backwards to the running Jaron Geary. Across to the other side. Fisher. Goddard's calling short. That run was rewarded.
Worked hard, Goddard, across from this side of the ground. Commentary side to the other side.
Good pluck, Rewald. Come on, got to pay that. One umpire paid it, the other umpire didn't.
I think the downfield umpire paid over the shoulder.
You're right, Jono. You have to reward those really hard runs from your senior players, especially and early in games, so they keep doing it, thinking they're going to keep getting it. Now, he can go for 9 here, Nick Rewald.
I think most importantly, he doesn't look like he's going to. I think he's just going to try and set it up, but we really want to see how he kicks tonight as well.
McAvoy, the jumper, got hands to it. Goods initially thought he was going to crumb it. Johnson last on the defence. Parker, he can't take that through. He would have been penalised. He realised it.
Just have a look at this, see where the infringement comes. It looks to be a good grab. Actually wasn't a lot in it on the replay. Looked worse in real motion.
I think the umpire realised they should have paid the mark. Goods caught. That's gone. Holding the ball. Got to be. Top of the square. Advantage paid. Goal. And Ahmed Saad has kicked the opener. All the way from Egypt. He's given the Saints their first.
What a fantastic start for that young man. They say he's a live wire. He's come from the Northern Bull Ants in the VFL, and Wouldn't he be excited just to be out there, but to get an early one like this, and the umpires are allowing a little bit more time when a player decides to take the advantage here to see whether it is in fact going to unfold for them. You can see the umpire there had a good look, and then he said, yep, he's going to get the kick in, so I'll pay the advantage. And Saad reaps the benefit, picks it up, strolls in, kicks a goal.
With some pressure front on too, so I think in the review process next week, the coaches might have a word and say, look, great, exciting, home and away season, just let that one go. Take the kick.
Egyptian parents, a Muslim boy, and has only been playing AFL for 7 years. Great to see him in the game. Stephen Long inside 50. Richards gets back and takes the saving mark.
Yeah, it looked like there was a tangle of legs which sent Justin Kaczynski to the ground, but Richards good enough to hold his feet and then became an uncontested chest mark.
Jack told to go. Grundy heads wide, out of side. Gordon has it. High bomb. Seaby with the fist. Knocks that to the boundary. You can
The other thing we're going to see tonight...
see Mitch Morton there, sorry, on screen. Jason playing his first game for the Swans, his third club.
And he's one player that'll figure as well, because both teams are talking about different forward setups, more options. For Sydney, they want to go taller. You'll see resting ruckman there, and St Kilda, well, they want to take some of the load off Revolt, so they need to develop other options as well.
Well, at the moment with the Saints, you've got Goddard, who's come up as a high half forward. Milne coming in behind the contest with 4 permanent forwards, something we certainly haven't seen over the last few years.
It's Ledger, who played a couple of games for the Saints last year. Richards held that long enough to get it at half back.
And that was in front of Reece Stanley, one of those tall options that I think they need to just let him settle there and play him week after week after week and let him really get into the role.
McAvoy had the reach, couldn't bring the mark down. Hacked forward by Morton, gets it to half forward. Reid plays on, slides it inside 50 to the runner Pike.
Well, that worked perfectly, didn't it? And then we've got the tall man up forward in Pike, and they said they're going to play him there. Seaby will get a run, Mumford will spend time forward. They've got to have more options, and young Sam Reid, he is just an excitement machine. Looking forward to seeing him in action this year.
Outstanding year last year. Signed a 5-year deal at the end of last season. That's
rare these days in football, Dwayne, but you can understand why with him.
The evolution of the game. The Canadian this time after the Egyptian down the other end. And he hits the post. Big Mike Pike.
Well, has to capitalise on those opportunities.
He stabbed it. The kick itself would have gone a total of 25 metres.
Gilbert weaves his way through some traffic. Heads wide. Smith. Wider to Johnson. Now Matner. Just pops it for McVeigh. Gee, that made it tough for him. Jack equal to it. Smith. A long bomb. Good should go for this. Got hands on it. Couldn't bring it down. This is Wilkes. First game for Bo Wilkes for the Saints. Got a push in the back, and he's wearing the number 37.
Well, you think he'd get plenty of opportunities too with Zach Dawson heading to Fremantle. There's a hole in defence in terms of key position, and maybe Bo Wilkes can settle into that role.
Out of bounds there, boys. That'll be a free kick to the Sydney Swans and a shot at goal for Lewis Jetta. Just a quick update on the substitutes. We've got Sipos and Peake for the Saints and Gordon and Biggs for the Swans.
Have a look at these boots, Dwayne.
See if they work. Yeah, they worked okay then. Centre and kick. Hot spot. Thumb through for an easy behind.
Well, Seaby had the run of that. It was a good kick by Jetta.
I thought he was in the box seat to mark it.
Yeah,
Seaby
should have marked it.
Ahmed Saad again. Forced to stand under that. That's a good, strong grab. Kicked 50 goals in the VFL last year for the Bull Ants, so he knows how to get it.
An impressive start.
Absolutely. That was Cripps getting it at half back, almost a turnover. Wobbled wide. Poor bounce. Salutes Cunningham. Armitage shrugs the tackle. Kaczynski. Schneider. Open spaces ahead. Terrible kick. Seaby
Right
cuts
foot
that off.
torpedo pass.
Just repeating. 2 20-minute halves in these shortened games for round 1 of the NAB Cup. 3 games tonight. This is the first of the 3. Almost in the back. In fact, make that in the back. McAvoy's ball. First 17.5 minutes of each half. No time on added. Only time on for the last 2.5 minutes. That's why quite often you'll see the clock continuing to roll when you think it should be stopping. No advantage, so it'll come back.
We just see the Saints boys are prepared to go through the corridor by foot more often than Sydney at this stage.
Parker. Good kick. And he pumps it along to Reid. Well, Jason told you earlier how much he grew as a player last year. He was top 12 in the AFL in 2011 for contested marks.
Yeah, Jono, fair to say we were down on the ground with David King prior to the game, watching Sam Reid have a couple of shots for goal. He wasn't striking them well. This is an aspect he needs to work on.
Strikes that beautifully. Swans get there first.
Well, he got him out of the way early on and nailed that one, Jace. But that's the thing. You speak about Reid. If I was talking about Nick Naitanui last year, I think everyone will be starting to talk about Reid this year. Because of his ability. As a forward, he's got the ability to kick multiple goals in a game. But not only that, he works extremely hard.
Yep.
And that's the number one thing you need to do as a forward. His body will get him into position to mark.
Two of the new faces you'll see tonight for the Sydney Swans. Mitch Morton, as we said, come across from Richmond. Jed Lamb's going to be playing. Tommy Walsh, the ex-Saint, will be lining up. Jordan Lockyer.
Played on his old man, Dwayne, at West Coast fullback Andrew Lockyer.
Okay.
Just having a look, boys. Nick Riewoldt lining up on the wing at this centre bounce.
Okay, thanks for that. David King on the boundary line. Ledger slides in, gets one for too high. And he's one of the younger players playing to try and be there for round one of the main season after getting a taste for it last year. The top of the square, Johnson had to wait for a while to get it. Smith goes back, Grundy pumps it out of the danger area. Sits a little, Morton flies, made a good contest. And now Cunningham, well, he spent that before he'd earned it, and now he's away. Shows some speed. First game for the Sydney Swans tonight for Cunningham. And Reid unable to keep that in. Now, was it touched before it rolled out? It wasn't, so it's a free to Wilkes and the Saints.
Oh,
Cripps is going to have to backtrack. This will be a free if it rolls out. And it doesn't. Traps it just in time. Takes off with a bounce.
yeah, bit of confidence there.
Would have been shot by Kaczynski behind play. It's normally he that gets picked off, not he picking people off. He did a good job with the hip and shoulder. Stephen handballs it on. Grundy, half-back flank. Matner, the old firm, combining for the Swans halfway through this opening half. Jack. A wobbler to the wing. Fisher got there first. It's away from his old teammate of sorts, Tommy Walsh, wearing the 17 for the Saints. Schneider, sorry, for the Swans I should say, the ex-Saint, as McAvoy marks probably on the paint. This won't be for 9.
Just heard a little roar from the crowd as Lenny Hayes got a link hand pass in the chain there. Great to see him back in action.
He's injured that knee round 2 last year, and no strapping on it tonight, which is an even better sign. McAvoy keeps it low and wide. Kaczynski! There's another good sign.
Well, a big bump down the other end to help his teammate get a clear run. Work the whole way down.
And a Riewoldt, not the required 15, and he dropped that. Umpire said he got a handball away. Sure, a little 1-2 with Grundy. Seaby, his target, he's got a couple to beat. Wilkes with the fist. Seaby kept his feet and rolls it to the line.
I'll tell you where he looks lean, boys, Kaczynski at this stage. Last year he was hampered by an ankle reconstruction in the off-season, but this is as fit as we've seen Justin Kaczynski at the moment.
Yeah, just 13 games last year for Cozzy. Pumped inside 50 by Seb Ross, his first kick for the Saints. Speaking of relatives, he's the nephew of Tim Watson. So he's got a little bit of
Reasonable bloodline.
football blood, Seb Ross.
Was their most impressive in the intra-club last week, Seb Ross.
Show you the new Saints shortly. Got an idea as to what numbers to look out for. Almost, but not quite for Pike. Sard got it inside 50, but it was towed back out just as quick. Jude Bolton rolls to half forward. Seaby pushed into it by Gilbert. Hassled him out of it. Went and got the Sharon. Handballed it just past Ross in the end, so he couldn't get another touch. Trapped. Ledger to half forward. Saints looking okay. Ball rolls past Mather. Little tap on Stanley. Here's Milne. Bread and butter.
That is classic Stephen Milne. He was looking for a free kick, trying to show the umpire he's being held, but as soon as it wasn't paid, he ducked straight out the back of the contest. And you can just see here, Matner works to the front, doesn't trap the ball or take it forward, and that releases Stephen Milne out the back and deadly off one step.
That's where Matner has to make that decision, and if you make that decision, you've just got to be clean with it, don't you, Jason? And you wouldn't probably take that away from the defender attacking the ball, trying to pick up the flight first.
But he couldn't let it get behind
But you can't let it get behind you, exactly.
Some of the new names to look out for. We mentioned Seb Ross, Nunes, Ahmed Saad already has a goal. Millera and Archer and Curran expected to play game 2, not playing in this game for the Saints. And the ball up. Jude Bolton to Goods, takes off, uses some toe. Jetta likes to do likewise. And that's a long launch, full forward. Seaby caught behind. Wilts goes for the chest mark.
It's okay to kick long because you know you've got tall targets there, but you've still got to kick it to the advantage of your teammate, and that wasn't at all. Mark Seaby caught on the wrong side of the contest because the kick dictated it was going to that pocket.
McAvoy knocks down. Fisher caught. Stephen just in time. Little handball front was from Nunes to Ross. So the two first gamers combining to get it to the wing. Stanley. Kazitsky, that's gone. Mike Pike.
Oh, play on.
Maybe advantage. Only way you could get out of that, the umpire. All the way back. See a little part of the seas there from Grundy gets him out of a spot of bother. Johnson.
You noticed already under Scotty Waters, and we know he was the defensive coach at Collingwood. They press right up and they try to close down Sydney. Sydney keep feeding it out the back. And St Kilda are taking their time away.
There's Reed's hands again.
That was amazing, Dwayne. That ball was behind him then when he marked that ball, Reed. It had gone past his vision.
He does have 7-foot arms.
And fingers, strong
Look
fingers.
how long they are.
This is Lockyer. Now Chesky. Goods is going to make that kick okay.
That's a set play.
The no-look kick.
Absolute blind kick.
He actually had more time than he thought, Malcheski, but the man that read it the quickest was Adam Goods. He was at the back of the pack and he ran past two St Kilda players to get to the front.
Well, the thing the Swans are looking at doing, that's why they can just get it in long, because Pike, Goods, Seaby and Reed, they've been the main targets every time they've gone inside 50.
Give Sydney the lead back. Squeezed it in. To downstairs, David King.
Well, that ball there, boys, I know we're overstating things, but Reece Shaw kicked that little dart. It was past Sam Reid, and he stuck his hands up, and I think it surprised himself how clean he was with that mark in the end. But, gee, what a powerful key forward he is at the moment, Sam Reid. He looks unstoppable, boys.
Yeah, you're right. I think it was McAvoy at the back who was expecting the ball to come over the top of Reid. He didn't really fly for it. He's such a fit athlete, looks in his prime still. How many games can he play?
Well, he's still in good form. He won his third best and fairest last year and was All-Australian again, so it's not as if he's
not on
waning
the way
as a
down
player.
yet. No. He's going to chalk up a big number.
So's this guy, Jude Bolton, third highest game player in Swans history. To the top of the square. Morton, clever, rolls that toward goal. Geary, well, he can't run this through. McVeigh realised that. Goddard, chip kick works. Fisher. Inside 4 minutes to half-time. 20-minute halves in these games in round 1 of the NAB Cup. Stephen can't get around Matner, and Matner caught him high, according to the umpire. Game 2 will involve Geelong and Sydney, so Sydney will stay out there and play Game 2. St Kilda will get the rest before fronting up against Geelong in Game 3. Gilbert to the wing. It's Cripps who had the ball thumped away from him for the Saints. Morton again is getting some touches in his first game for the Swans. Shaw, terrible handball. Big chance for a score here for the Saints. Ledger to Schneider. The leads come short. He might go for goal. No, he pops it, and Kazitsky, who's been everywhere.
That was really clever from Adam Schneider because he had to ignore Nick Revolt, who was leading into his vision, but it was going deep into the pocket. And Adam Schneider wanted to bring it back into the corridor. He knew he had space, so he just held on to it. And he waited for the right option to come up. And we were critical of the Reece Shaw hand pass, but it was great pressure from Ahmed Saad that caused the turnover.
To get the lead back again in the shadows of half-time, the Saints have already led twice tonight in the seesawing first half. Gee, struck that well. It drifts only a behind. Don't forget on Fox Footy tomorrow night, Gold Coast, Brisbane and Melbourne. On Sunday night, Carlton, Adelaide, Port Adelaide. Plenty of live footy coming your way. right through the NAB Cup. And of course, can't wait for the home and away season to start. Every game live and in high definition.
Well, the Swans are the Saints, are no different in terms of their setup for the Swans kick out. All players pushing right up, just trying to keep that press right up so they keep the ball, as they have this time, in their forward half of the ground.
Pike, McAvoy. 2 minutes to half time. Lenny Hayes again in the thick of it. Ledger. Geary. Caught by Parker. Jude Bolton. Contested possession king. Now Chesky. Jack. Goods. Left it behind. To go back in. Lay a tackle on Jack Nunes. The first gamer. Jude Bolton hacks it forward. Reed in the spot. Gilbert right with him. Seaby, little fumble, finally knocks it out. Opportunity, a little handball around the body was from Lockyer, couldn't find a teammate with it. Gilbert, Armitage, and that's gone. That is a splendid tackle from Jeddah.
Now we get a chance to watch the coloured boots shoot for goal.
The tackle pressure from both sides, guys, has been outstanding down here. That's the 18th tackle of this shortened game. And you have to say the speed in the intent to tackle is what we've loved, and both coaches would be thrilled with that.
Yeah, they would be. You're right, Kingy. Gee, just the replay of that tackle. He turned him, he locked one arm, took all the options away from David Armitage.
Even if he kicks this from outside the 50, it'll only be for 6. We won't talk about Yips just yet, but he does have a couple of behinds tonight.
He's actually hit him quite sweet. The 4 kicks that he has had, they've all gone long, and he has hit them quite well. Direction a couple of times.
What did he start his career with?
19 behinds in a row he started his career with. But let's not
That's
talk
a big
about
monkey, isn't it?
Do you mind not raising it all the time? I'm sure he's had enough of it. Free kick to Goddard. Now, the clock will stop here because we're inside the last
and Matt, it
2.5 minutes.
Dazed himself. He just landed heavily.
So unless he goes off with a stretcher here, they'll be a man down this last 44 seconds, the Swans. Yeah, head clash got out there.
Yeah, friendly fire. Heath Grundy just collected him from behind.
Seb Ross, and that's the first gamer's kick there. Shouldn't be heading that wide with 32 seconds left on the clock. But then again, if someone of Cossey's experience leads there and calls for it,
that's where you've got to be smart. We spoke about Adam Schneider before ignoring Nick Revolt. You've got to pick the right option.
Wilkes flies, could have marked that. Fist now, is that deliberate? It might be a free.
Marking contest.
Okay. Wasn't really, was it?
Well, it was a pack.
Yeah, okay. AFL have been pretty keen to shut that down, the deliberate fist out of play when there's not really a contest involved. Free kick, dying seconds here. St Kilda ball. Ledger again. And again, wide kick. And again, Koziski falls and Richards takes a saving mark. He can mop up the remaining seconds of the half. Dangerous, but okay handball. McVeigh back to Grundy. And the siren sounds for half-time. First big hit out of the season for the Saints and the Swans, and it was a tight one. Been a seesawing game so far if you've just joined us. Swans lead by 2, as we said, as players move back to position.
Hard not to be impressed with Ahmed Saad. I thought 3 early touches. He kicked a goal. He looks a live wire. We saw some defensive pressure which created a turnover. So a lot to look forward to in the second half.
Adam Goods moved to full forward. Seaby in the ruck. And McAvoy beats him to it. Lenny Hayes jumped in there. Free kick for over the shoulder against Milne. It's going to go to Luke Parker. Quick handoff. Natner had to go down and get it. Now Chesky keeps it low. McVeigh got one to the ear. No free. Adam Goods almost. It is the steal. And takes off. Shaw. Jeddah, who loves kicking a long ball. Hands it off to Richards. He pumps it long and wide. This is Walsh. Can't get the reach. Geary knocks it away from the ex-Saint. Wearing the number 17, the Irishman. Ty Kennelly's old number 17. So there's some synchronicity there for the Swans. The new Irishman replacing Tig in the 17. Jeddah, another free. Short Morton. kickable by his standards.
Free kick against a block. Wade, so Geary gets the free kick for the Saints.
There's a little bounce. It's past Morton. Kaczynski.
He's done well in that battle, Ted Richards. Been very good one-on-one.
Last year had some outstanding games as well, Ted Richards. I think it's an 83% effective rate with his fist. When he punches it, it either goes to a teammate or it heads out of play. He is a fantastic defender now. Jack sidesteps a couple, gives it up. McVeigh. Now Morton. Centering kick, a disciplined kick, and Pike takes the mark, top of the square, takes off the Canadian and rams this one home.
Pike, that is brilliant. Didn't trust himself with the set shot after missing a sitter at the other end. He thought he was on a roll. What I liked about the passage of play, Jono, it is already in the mindset of the Sydney players. We've got a big, tall option. Mitch Morton could have blazed away. He didn't. He just centred it straight away. He was well within kicking range, tightish angle, but he said, I'll be disciplined, I'll play the percentage.
That's Jordan Bannister there, umpiring tonight for the first time. He's about to launch into a first AFL season as an umpire. 67 games of AFL, and a few of them on you, Jono.
Plenty.
Plenty on myself, don't worry about that. But he looks good in the lime green. I didn't like him in the navy blue especially.
Nice grab, Rewalt. This would be for 9. He elects not to. Strains to go to that spot. Stanley keeps it alive. Sard, clever hands to Stephen. That's why he went to that spot. But he hits the post. They're working well from the pocket.
He makes good decisions, Ahmed Sard. I like that. But yeah, I'm with you, Dwayne. I didn't like the kick from Rewalt, really wide to Reece Stanley.
Oh, Jetta, look at that for speed. To Goods, who goes and can't quite get. Hits the deck. 3 against him in the end. Fisher loops it back, makes it tough for Dempster. Little nuts to the backside by Goods. Fumble, Goddard. Hoping to start this year better than he started last year, Brendan Goddard. Had a horror first half of the year.
How's that
play on? So Jack Stephen goes back again.
Dangerous.
Wilkes mops up. No, he doesn't mop up that little mess. Dempster knocked off at Mountchesky. Goes for goal, and they made them pay full price.
Well, John, you can only assume that Jack Stephen didn't see the Sydney player there. He obviously saw a teammate in the corridor, but that teammate was standing right next to a Sydney player.
Yeah, that's it. And this is what pleased me in the whole passage of play. This is why they're able to keep the ball in the forward line. Adam Goods flies, keeps his feet. He's able then to stay in the contest to make a second effort, gets up off the ground, third effort. All of a sudden his teammates flow on with him. Ball stays in with some good pressure. They get a goal on the back of it.
Not sure about that decision though, boys. The umpire called play on there when Stevens marked that ball in the back pocket. Very tough.
Oh, that was tough too, King. You agree with you? I think Jack Stephen was looking for Sam Fish. He didn't see Sam Reid coming in to spoil.
Sydney by 13. This is the biggest lead to either side for the game. And just a quick reminder, we're playing halves, of course, in this shortened form of the NAB Cup in round 1. Rewalt couldn't collect that one. Grundy was right with him and allowed Mattner to come in and gather the ball. Richards back to Grundy. Across the defensive goal. Johnson, precision there. Takes off. Stanley corrals him. Goods again working hard. Pike slipped through his fingers, but it works. Norton to Goods, and he uses some toe. Now Walsh is running. Goods hasn't seen him yet. He floats this to Cunningham, makes it almost impossible for the first gamer. He kept it alive, going to Bolton. Magnificent to watch. And that could be a secondary kick at goal. No, it's just the 6 points.
Gee, I thought Adam Goods had blown it. It was the right option, but he was running that quickly. He didn't steady, and he's kicked it end over end. A mongrel punt. But look at the bounce. It worked out beautifully. And the quick hands, I thought, was absolutely exceptional.
They're running the ball. They're linking up really, really well with each other. And that's something the man on screen, Scott Watters, will need to look at. He addressed that at half-time for sure, because the Saints have picked up in that area of the game as well. But the Swans are well on top now. 40 handball received so far for the game.
Ledger with the clearance. No mark. Richards. Milne outside of the boot. They need this. They won't get it. Johnson marks. Last line of defence. Swans have kicked 3 goals in a row. They lead by 19. 14 minutes to travel in this second half. Jack. Good leap and brings it down. The spring-heeled Jack. Doesn't often jump. Seaby. Wilkes with him. Ball to the back. Gathered by Jack Nunes. First gamer. Gets it back again from Schneider. Dempster, good tackling. Out of trouble. Wilkes. Sits a little. And a good mark to Cripps. Over Rewald's head. Milne got a couple to beat here. Stevie Milne ducks back, boundary side. Oh, just clipped the post. Just clipped the padding.
He thought he'd kicked it.
I thought he had as well.
It. He turned. He thought he'd kicked it. Just grazed the padding. Great shot then. Good decision by the goal umpire. Right on top of it.
Johnson back to Mattner. Stevie Milne will become the 50th player to kick 500 goals when he gets to 10 this year.
Well, look at this, out the back.
Been a superstar. Over the top, out the back. Cunningham for his first goal in footy. Harry Cunningham, rookie-less player. It's a 24-point margin.
You see it happen at times, and I'm sure people watching the game say, how can a player be loose all on his own, 20 out from goal? It's not the fault of the player closest to him. It's a breakdown further afield, and it happens in the middle of the ground. You see a couple of Sydney players. He even had time to fumble at Malcheski and still find McVeigh before he kicked it long to Cunningham over the top. Their zone fell down badly on that occasion.
Sydney Swans membership number 1300. Get online if you can. And jump on, Sydney Swan fans. They're looking good in this one. Johnson. Mattner. Shaw.
Oh, no advantage. That's a big call.
Okay, it's coming back.
They were away.
Time against them right now. The Saints, 40 plays 16. Certainly don't want to be demolished. Game 2. Sydney stay out there. They'll be playing against the reigning day premier, the Cats. This is Jordan Lockyer. Goods. Back to the square. Reid on his own, so over the zone again. He marks in the pocket, but very kickable from there. Hands it off, and Morton with the toe. His first goal for the Swans.
Well, the one thing they have been, the Swans, Jace, is very unselfish and very, very disciplined with the way they've gone about bringing the ball into the attack as well. And
all of a sudden, a few headaches.
There will be a couple of grey hairs already for Scotty Waters. But just smart, very, very slick handball to get it through. Looked lucky in the end.
Little drop kick.
Put on Kingy 5 in a row.
Well, we did say they were over the odds, Swans, because they brought down a strong squad.
Goods to Jack. Jetta. Knocked away by Cripps. Peak. Plenty of time left in this. Still 10 minutes to go. Cripps again. Armitage. McAvoy's wide. Rewalt was with there.
Well,
you've
called that half a dozen times, Dwayne. They continue to lead wide, and more importantly, they continue to kick wide. And that's not helping them get the ball in scoring positions.
Especially when McAvoy and Rewalt both leading to that wide spot. Yep. Surely one leads there, one back to the square. St Kilda kick here. And it'll be to Stanley. It'll only be for 6. The free kick was paid. Stanley inside the 50-metre arc.
Just needs to make the most of this. It doesn't matter how they get a goal. They need to just stop Sydney's momentum and get themselves on the scoreboard.
Cut it back to 24.
Good size and shape, isn't he, Reece Stanley?
Yeah.
Lightning speed.
Strikes it well. Not well enough.
Up to 8 possessions. Mitch Morton, first game for his new club, and has a goal to his name as well. Jude Bolton still leads all comers with 10. Fisher and Stephen with 9 each for the Saints.
Sipos come on a sub. Aaron Sipos.
And again.
Rewalt heads wide and it doesn't get to him. Smith.
I think this is something that Scotty Waters will look to address very quickly.
It's a influence though, isn't it?
Well, it is, but not deep in the forward line. You kick wide until it's time to bring it back in, and they're not bringing it back in.
Off hands. Tommy Walsh. It'll hurt Saints fans even
They're
more.
on here.
He plays well.
Gee, Sam Reid was out the back again.
He's still out.
That cleanly.
Even Tommy Walsh was one of the players they refused to play last year, the Irishman. Now Chesky.
Pike in the middle. Missed him.
And straight down the middle to Reid. Well, that's the difference. Straight toward goal.
Well, they had two options. Mike Pike had led earlier and he was actually 5 metres clear, but he was tracking Sam Reid, who led beautifully into his vision. And this is in stark contrast to the way St Kilda are taking the ball inside their attacking 50. An opportunity to look at his kicking style once again.
And you mentioned it's a problem.
Well, it looks a bit stiff. It's not natural for him at the moment. Obviously something he's going to do a lot of work on.
He's going to have to, because he's going to get plenty of shots at goal if he keeps this work rate up.
Schneider. 7.5 minutes from time.
Out the back.
Milne, we took the goose step, pokes it up, Riewoldt. Grundy gets back, Riewoldt holds.
Another kicking style we probably need to have a look at, Dwayne, because we know how good a player Nick Riewoldt is and has been, but the one Achilles heel has been his set shots. Probably get sick of how much we keep talking about it, but the fact is, it's always on our minds because he creates opportunities.
Well, he's setting up a lot closer to the man on the mark. A lot closer.
The right
Short
hand
run up.
higher than the left. Oh,
Bang.
That worked.
Keeps them in it.
Well, that definitely worked. Didn't have any thinking music, just got back.
It's almost the old I don't want to think about this, so let's get back and bang.
Well, and you look at this, and Milne was a left footer. They had someone out in the goal square.
Yep.
The Saints.
Shame they didn't find Saad, who was all on his own, would have run into an open goal. But have a look at this. The right hand looks a little bit higher on the ball than the left once he gets it in the right grip.
Last year it was all about his head too, how much it was right over his right leg.
Nice controlled
that's
kick.
fluent.
Yep.
That's a good fluent action.
Canada's getting ready for match 2 tonight.
Yeah.
Resting a lot of their premiership players, Dwayne, but you know they're still going to put on a show.
Yeah, looking forward to the Cats getting their 2012 underway, given how good they've been to watch in the last 7 or 8 years. Hayes goes hard at that. There's still a chance here. The Saints. Riewoldt, half forward. Fantastic fist from Grundy. Just killed that.
I think you're right, Jono. There is a Collingwood influence in how wide they're going with the footy, but I just think it takes a while for a new team to adapt to when to pull the trigger to bring it back into the corridor and kick it into the dangerous spots, and that's something they'll learn as they play.
McAvoy tried to get it off. Again, trying to break free. Ledger has been good for them. Can't get away here. If you're new to the format, haven't heard this year's NAB Cup format, every team plays 4 NAB Cup games in 2012. The best 2 performed teams after 4 games meet in the grand final. So in essence, if you lose both your games in this 3-way first round, you can't make the grand final. So there's a bit on it here for the Saints. Toe poke inside 50. Wilkes.
Thought it should have been dropping the ball before, but
Yep.
got out of danger now.
A few in the crowd thought that as well. Lenny Hayes to another round of applause.
Wasn't Jordan Bannister, so I can't go there.
Geary wide to Fisher, to the open side they peel. Stephen. Inside 5 minutes. 24-point margin. But a super goal would put the cat amongst the pigeons. Ross shoots it back. Fisher. Sits it up high. McAvoy from 3 deep, can't take the mark. Saad almost ran onto that and swooped. Pike's down hurt.
But again, front and square Saad, the right spot. Took the ball, just got wrapped up. A lot to like about him.
Just a quick one, boys. The Saints have made a couple of subs. Gilbert and Cozzy out of the game. Just note that Cozzy's not sitting on the bench at the moment. We hope all is well there.
Wilkes tries to kill that as well. To Stephen. Doesn't go for the 9. Over Milne's head. Didn't really look there. And Smith had the position. Grundy.
Nothing but St Kilda players ahead of him. He has to come inboard.
The Cats and the Swans to play in game 2 tonight at the conclusion of this. And then Geelong and St Kilda in game 3. Perfect night for football here at Etihad Stadium. They've left the roof open.
Interesting, Dwayne, as a general rule, the fresh team in the second and third games has been the one that's prevailed.
Right now, you'd have to say the Swans are hot. 7-5 to 3-5. Pike. Reid also jumped. McAvoy crumbs. Tried to flick a handball out. Does in the end. Nunes tried to make something of it. Stanley was there. McAvoy a little wobbly.
And you think the Swans want to be out there now, just slowing things down a little bit, because they will need that little bit of extra energy leading into that second game. So watch them slow it down now in the last 3 minutes of play.
They might take a few of their keys off as well now that they've probably got this in their keeping. High tackle, Ledger's ball. One of the shining lights in what looks like being an opening game loss. Geary. Now he dropped that. It would have been for 9, and then he short passes strangely enough to Stephen.
A short pass.
Peak. He could go for 9. Hands it back. Goddard. Corral. Messing with it really. Schneider. Inside 50. Crunched by Parker. Ledger from 45. That's wide. And Richards allows it to travel out on the full.
Well, that's how you spoil. Parker took the man with him and the ball.
It's
good, strong play.
It's interesting. You can take the body out in a marking contest like that, but if you take the arm out, it's an arm slap free.
I know it was a snap that went out on the full from Thomas Ledger, but he has found it 9 times. Been impressive.
McVeigh. Here's Tommy Walsh. Jude Bolton. Kieran Jack.
They've done this well, haven't they?
I've got the man. It's Cunningham again. Good says, go and get it, young man. I'll shepherd for you. He might kick it regardless. Did that bounce? It's gone through.
We'll have a review here. There we go. It's your boy calling for the review, Jono. Because it didn't look a normal goal. So I think we need to have a review of this.
The review is here as whether McAvoy has touched it.
Or it's come off the leg.
Came off the leg. That's a goal.
So
Adam Goods is right. He was shepherding it. He knew exactly what had happened, Adam Goods. That's come straight off the left foot, the left shin.
Anything below the knee counts as a goal.
Yep.
So that is the second goal to Harry Cunningham. Took 10 seconds and everybody's okay that the umpires have come up with the right call. I'll tell you what, Greater Western Sydney, they didn't come up with the right call. They had Harry Cunningham as theirs, but then didn't want him. And the Sydney Swans said, we'll put him on our rookie list, thanks very much. And he's looked okay. McVeigh, 70-metre pump inside 50. Dempster gets back with Goddard. Unkind bounce initially. Can't run it through. Was that deliberate?
That's
a clear handball. Yep.
That's a free. Jude Bolton. 90 seconds left. 30 points the margin.
He's kicked the banana.
Might as well. It's one of those straight bananas. Stays in play for a second off hands. And we'll get a ball in. John Longmire would happy with what he's seen at the office so far. Pike, McAvoy, Ledger again. Grabbed and dropped it. Looked okay too. Jack Nunes, the first gamer. Peak. Inboard to Milne. Caught. Really get a handball away in the dying seconds. Smith jumps in.
Pushing the back, Sydney kick.
So Smith wins himself a free. This will be a good win to the Swans. They've brought a very experienced squad down, but not playing in this game. O'Keefe, Mumford, Kennedy, Lewis Roberts Thompson, Hanbury. They've got a few guns out as well. Goods has played and played well.
It's also the sort of scoreline that, should they get beaten in the other game against Geelong by a reasonably small margin, they're still going to be in the mix because they'll have a decent percentage, points for and against.
Yeah, spot on. First day at the office hasn't been kind yet for Scott Waters. They do play the third game against Geelong, so they'll need to win that, the Saints, to keep themselves in with a chance of playing in the NAB Cup Grand Final this year. Adam Goods strikes that beautifully. Doesn't get any better than that.
Then just nonchalantly turns around and strides from the ground.
Straight off the ground. And look, you mentioned it before about them bringing a strong side in. I think it's a bit of a mindset change in terms of their preparation going into the year, because over the year, historically, they haven't gone into a NAB Cup taking it serious at all, just worried about round one and the process of getting to up and going in that first game. But there just seems a bit of a change. Their intensity seems a lot higher, and the fact that they've got their senior players out there is a good guide for these younger players coming through to say, hey, we need to start this season well, and our season starts tonight here at Etihad.
Let's face it, under Paul Roos, the NAB Cup were just compulsory engagements that got in the way of his pre-season, weren't they? He had no interest in them.
There was an allegation at one stage that he didn't want to win one particular game, and
Didn't he tell someone to go out there and don't get a kick?
yeah, flippantly, of course. He didn't really mean it. Don't kick a goal. Was the alleged statement. Stanley gets there to take the mark. So he can get himself a consolation prize, Reece Stanley.
Probably sitting at home, or is he going, horse, what are you doing? What's going on?
Either way, this will be an impressive win to the Swans. And a loss in the first game for Scott Waters.
Good kick.
A splendid kick straight over the goal umpire. So a 30-point margin in favour of the Sydney Swans in game 1.